Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories.
Don't look at me.
We open on planet Pluton with the alien Pluthar disposing of his mutated friend. Known as the Hungry Beast, the sanitation worker puts the mutant into a machine that turns it into energy and beams it into space. Meanwhile on Earth, the Putterman family just got satellite television, but Stanley thought he could install it himself. His service contract only permits Norton to help with repairs, not installation, so he just stands around checking out the other dish on site. When the television fails on Stan's wife Raquel again, he damages the dish to create the need for Norton to repair it because this man is a genius. His stepfather Grampa lives his life as a survivalist in a bunker beneath the house, selling lizard tails as a regenerative food source. The family have two kids, a punk daughter Suzy and her younger brother Sherman, who Grandpa almost blows away because of those damn Nam flashbacks. Suddenly the hungry beast in the form of electrical energy crashes down to Earth directly into the Putterman satellite receiver. The TV sets begin working again, so Stanley demonstrates the wide range of channels to the family, including MTV and Channel 69. Grampa wants him to stop on some historical war program, so they fight over the remote, causing the dish to go haywire. Part of the receiver overheats, releasing electricity into the living room that nearly burns the house down, all because Dad wanted more channels. A program comes on called Midnight Horathon, hosted by the voluptuous Medusa and her papier-mâché snakes. She has the power to make any man as hard as a rock, but behind the scenes Medusa runs the operation like a foreman at a New York shipyard.
Hey Al, give me a brew and give me a smoke.
Since it's 3 votes to 2, the girls have to watch a Komodo dragon battling an alligator while dressed like dinosaurs. Suzy gets bored, so she goes on a date with her deadbeat rocker boyfriend OD, who looks like he just crawled out of a gutter. Stan and Raquel also go out, but they're a couple of swingers, so spend the night searching for another couple to have sex with. With Dad going out dressed like a pimp, they leave Sherman with Grandpa, and the two stay up all night eating lizard's tail. Even OD, who looks like he eats out of a dumpster, turns down the regenerative treat, and Sherman threatens to blow off his balls if he puts the boot on the couch again. When everybody else is gone, Sherman and Gramps come across the hungry beast on one of the channels, but just switch over to Medusa's Horathon. They stay up all night falling in love until falling asleep about the same time a giant turkey destroys the Empire State Building. The channel switches back to the beast and it climbs out of the screen to slide up under the sheets with Sherman and Grandpa. The terrified pair retreat to the old man's fallout shelter because it's filled with enough guns and explosives to start a mini revolution. Grandpa says that monsters don't exist and assumes it was just an intruder in a Halloween mask, but still has Sherman switch his toy gun for the real thing.
Let's go!
At the same time, Norton returns to fix the satellite dish and notices that the wiring has turned into a gelatinous green gloop. He's confronted by Grandpa and the kid with 30 round magazines to the face, but upon noticing he hasn't got a mask, they begin searching the house. The pair split up, and while Norton becomes the monster's first off-screen victim, the Shermanator guards the front door and Grandpa has a nightcap. He assumes he's safe since they hear the screams outside, but the beast travels through the television screens to appear behind him. Grandpa gets crushed to death by the monster and turned into a human soup that the hungry mutant slurps up off the floor. It then converts back into electricity and retreats into the television, so Sherman locks himself in the shelter and calls the police. Officer Nutkey just assumes the kid is making a prank call, so he says that he's going to come out there and arrest him because the nut don't muck around. The beast creeps out of the TV behind Sherman but goes back inside when the parents return home with another swinging couple. Spiro talks about wife swapping like it's some kind of art, while his wife Cherry asks if the child soldier will be joining them. Sherman tries to tell his mom about the monster eating Grandpa, but she doesn't believe him even when seeing her own father's puddled remains. Stan takes the guests to what he calls the Pleasure Dome, which is a large indoor jacuzzi that's probably full of diseases. He fiddles with the remote and receives a broadcast from Pluthar warning them to destroy all of their television sets. But Stan just assumes that it's a movie and goes scrolling for Channel 69 again because Dad wants to bust open this cherry. During this time, the beast materializes in the shelter and takes a page out of John Carpenter's playbook by transforming into a replica of Grandpa. Raquel sees him and just assumes that Sherman was lying, so she locks him inside the shelter so that she can get her freak on. Fortunately, the monster has disappeared again, so the kid watches some more late-night Medusa because a man's still got needs. He decides to call the studio phone and tell the host about his monster story, but she just thinks he's having a mental breakdown. She hangs up, then calls his name from the TV, only to give everybody pressed up against their screens with the name Sherman a heart attack. Meanwhile, Raquel takes Spiro to the bar for a cocktail while the man's wife goes for a swim because the jacuzzi is a perfect 98.6 degrees. I don't think Stan's thinking about that, but he runs off to get changed into his swimsuit because naked is apparently not an option. Soon the beast comes on screen, so Cherry insults its hideous appearance, leading to her being eaten off screen and not in the fun way. Her husband mixes cocktails with Raquel, who fully expected this man to Trojan her horse, but he swings the other way. Spiro wanted to plow her husband tonight, so she breaks the bad news to Stanley that he may need to take one for the team. Meanwhile, Spiro returns to the pleasure dome and finds that the beast has transformed into his wife and sits in the pool of slime. This kinkster just assumes it's lubricant and swims over to the monster, only to be devoured by his fake wife's toothy minge. Stan and Raquel enter to discover the swinger's remains, but just assume that one of them crapped in the pool before running away. The hungry beast emerges from the water and attacks Stanley, turning him into a consumable liquid, while Raquel just stands there like a plant. Sherman hears her scream from the shelter, so he uses Grandpa's explosives to escape just as Suzy and OD return home. Like everybody else, they don't believe Sherman about the monster and search around the house but find no signs of the beast. It's taken the appearance of the 4 slime-covered swingers alongside Grampa, so the kids just think the monster is a manifestation of Sherman's trauma. They return to the pleasure dome, but the beast emerges from the TV, so they don't spend much time thinking the kid is crazy. It chases OD through the house but stops when his leather gauntlets remind the beast of Pluthar because the alien was once its friend. The beast lets him live, so the kids begin accessorizing and feed it everything in the house to keep human off the menu. They introduce it to rock and roll as well as teach it English, but it doesn't appear to enjoy the sound of OD's band and struggles to say Sherman. They decide to call Medusa for help getting the monster on her show because Beastie is going to make them rich.
Show's over, sucker.
She still assumes the kid is just making up stories, so Suzy invites Dusa to a fake party at their house to prove its existence. It's left unsure if the television presenter will visit when Officer Nutke arrives with a warrant for Sherman's arrest. The beast sees Pluthar on the TV and freaks out, grabbing OD by the face and drinking him with a giant tongue like a straw. Sherman ushers his sister to the shelter and throws a grenade to cover his retreat, while Nutke realizes the hard way that he was telling the truth. The beast absorbs all of his bullets, then eats the officer off-screen, while Sherman intelligently destroys the TV in the shelter. Suzy tries to call the police, but their phone line has been blacklisted because of all the prank calls, so they must do this themselves. They go hunting the hungry beast with Grandpa's weapons and discover the remains of their swinger parents beneath the crusty bedsheets. Finding the beast in the pleasure dome watching movies, Sherman tries to sneak up on it but slips over on some of Dad. It grabs him by the leg, so Sis opens fire and hurls the remote into the water, electrocuting the monster to let go of him. This allows Pluthar to teleport to Earth in a pressurized suit to explain that the beast was once his beloved pet dog. It mutated into the monster because space sucks, so he beamed it to the other side of the galaxy because he couldn't bear to kill it. He says that their parents can be resurrected through clones, they just need to extract the DNA from the beast.
Hey, babe.
Unfortunately, at this time Medusa arrives for the possibility of seeing an alien but leaves her driver outside. Expecting to walk into a party, she finds the place empty and mistakes the friendly Pluthar for the hostile alien. She sneaks up behind him and cracks open his visor, causing the pressure in his suit to rapidly change and his head to explode. The kids are devastated because this bimbo just killed their only chance to resurrect their parents when the monster bursts through the wall. Sherman fires the alien rifle but misses and the beast inhales, so Suzy uses Medusa's snakes as handles. Sherman doesn't have anything to hold onto, so he gets sucked towards the monster's mouth, but all 3 get eaten off screen. In the morning, an alien Medusa hybrid requests her driver take her to the studio so the beast can hit up every television set in the country. And the movie ends.